Welcome, everybody, to Write Better Together. I'm John Myers. Hey, look, everybody, it's Emily Brooks.
Hello, John Myers.
I was so focused on smiling, I almost forgot what I was supposed to say.
You got it out really fast.
What are we talking about today, Emily?
Oh, so a lot of things.
Yes.
How are we going to title this episode?
Oh,
Because
that's our call to action, viewers. Tell us how we should title this episode that you're already watching that already has a title underneath it.
It's really difficult. So we have quite the list and quite the guest. And our guest is Mai Luu Ly, who I'm going to introduce later. But she's a Vietnamese writer and producer who shares with us kind of the differences and the film industry and storytelling going on there. It's a fascinating conversation.
There's so much I want to say, but I'll let you finish quite the list, and then I'll say something before we even say the other thing.
First, we're going to have listener responses.
Yes.
Then we are going to have our interview, and Mai is going to give you all a call to action. Then we're going to have a Hey John Myers segment where I teach John Myers something, and then we're going to play a silly game.
A very serious game. Oh, no, I can't say that because I don't know what the game is. So we have already filmed. I'm going to ask you how you got out of your bubble in a second, but we already filmed the thing with Lee, and then we took a break because we needed lunch. I'm being very transparent with the audience right now, and during that lunch, and you'll see this. I'm foreshadowing, without getting political. You will see, viewers, the amount that freedom impacts your creativity. That was like when you said, what would the title be? That was my takeaway, that when you live where freedom is being limited, your imagination gets limited. And I had never seen that come into practice, or like a real life example of that, where what she was talking about.
Yeah. In some ways, restrictions can fuel creativity, because there have been, like, think about when we were in the golden age of Hollywood and you couldn't show certain things, but filmmakers would like imply things. I think there's some creativity that can be done there, but also, it's limiting what they can do. And even what Mai Lee talks about is that even getting funding, you have to be creative, and kind of think outside of the box to actually get these films made.
Yeah, and she said that. She said there's certain things you just have to be subtle about.
Yeah.
But just the fact that you have to be subtle about it. And in conversation at the coffee shop, you have to be subtle about it. And so why would a 8-year-old child dream of doing this thing when you can't even talk about it in a coffee shop? It was wild.
Yeah, and y'all will hear more about that, and we'll probably talk about it afterwards as well. Yep. There's just so much.
But it
make you think about.
It fits with this because we have the freedom to go walk outside of our bubble and go for our stupid walk, or go whatever the story you're about to tell, and do that. And you could talk about whatever you wanted to talk about when you met so-and-so at the grocery store or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how'd you get out of your bubble and talk about the freedom in this world?
Well, so I finished teaching a Sunday school class series. Oh. So I was supposed to do 4 weeks. Our teacher's on sabbatical. And I ended up doing 3 weeks because Southern Festival of Books. I had to miss that day.
I didn't even know you were teaching Sunday school.
Yeah, it's been good. I've talked about this before, but I did a series on my blog on nourishment, on nourishing mind, body, spirit. And so my teacher wanted me to teach that series.
Oh, cool.
And we had some really good conversations about the connections between your mind and your body, and your, like, how your physical health impacts your mental health. And it was like really good conversations, how all of that connects to your spiritual health. It was really good. So I am a little relieved that it's over, just because I'm already teaching classes and I'm doing all of this. So, it was a little extra work. It was really rewarding because I didn't really have to teach. I just had to ask questions, and everybody kind of took over and had some really interesting insights. So how did you get out of your bubble?
Speaking of church, this is not my church. So I went on my stupid walk. By the way, I learned that my stupid walk I'm going to live 11 years longer than what I had So I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast. I used to say I was going to live to be 150, because with advances in medicine, people already live to be 110, 111, where the 50 years ago they didn't. So by the time I get to 111, that'll be extended to 150, right? But then in that one Star Wars, Chewbacca was 232 or something. And and I was like, I'm going to outlive Chewbacca. I have a better lifestyle than he does. And then so I got to live to be 232 or 233 at least to outlive him. And but now I find out my stupid walk is going to help me live an extra 11 years. So I was on my stupid walk downtown, and I saw another I'm not going to play guess what I saw another instance of. I saw another community mailbox.
Wow, they're
And
just popping up everywhere.
that's where I'm going with this. It was in the yard of a church that was downtown, so it's not my church. And so I took a picture of it, which I'll put up here. I'll put it right there. And then I took a picture of the contents of what was in it. And I'm going to have to blur it because there's a cuss word in the church, but it's not sponsored by the church. It was just a community put the books in there. There were finance books and romance books, but there was a cuss word
Oh, wow.
in the church community library, but it wasn't the church's community library. But then and then I'll zoom in. I will blur out the cuss word, but I'll zoom in on the little plate on there, or I'll go back and walk back down there and get the name. There's actually an organization that sponsors those, which I didn't realize because we had talked previously about there was a sign for the bicycle
Yeah.
people like on yours, and this other people name theirs this, but there's an official communitylibrary.org.
Oh.
Don't Google that one because I just made that one up. But I'll put the real one on the screen, and we'll find out more about it and we'll publicize it. But it's like a real organization that's and so now I'm up to 4 in this town, but only one is an officially sanctioned one. So I thought that was interesting too. So the cuss word was interesting, and the fact that it was officially sanctioned by that organization was
So
interesting.
what's funny is I noticed that they put up a community mailbox at my church
Huh. At your church.
at the outside of the church, but it's not a walkable street, so it's got to just be for the church
Oh,
community.
this was right downtown, walkable street
And
sidewalk.
but I almost took a picture of it because I was like, "Hey, we've got one now." But we also have
Well,
a library.
I went to a church once that had a bookstore and a library, and people were always confusing which one was which, like
A
stealing
lot of
books out
these
of the
books are going to go
bookstore.
to the church library because we're never going to read them, so they're going to go.
Ah,
Gonna go there.
um, but that one is officially sanctioned by the church, the one that you guys put up, right?
I think so because it's not in the community. I mean, when we have community events, sure, or like when we have like trunk or treat and stuff, I guess people can use that. But otherwise, it's not really accessible to. We're not like in a neighborhood or in a city or anything like that.
Interesting.
So we have listener responses.
Oh yes, I better get those ready.
I'm very
I have them
excited to
ready.
hear these.
So on a previous episode, Emily surprised me. Was it the game or was it Hey John Myers? I don't even remember.
It was Hey John Myers, and it was about authors who were also inventors.
Yeah, and so I'm the only U.S. moderator. I never talk about this. I don't know why. I'm very proud of it. Um, the only U.S. moderator for Into the Scripts, which is in the UK. It's uh, I want to say the number one screenwriting craft advice hub in the UK, but there's novelists in there too, so it's not all screenwriting. And so I asked them, and I said, "I'll put your response on the podcast," and because there's 6,000 more people in that group. We would like our community, not we don't need 6,000 people because we want to meet all of them, but we would like our community to grow. And so when we put out questions like this, we can come back with a handful of answers. And someone also complimented me. So I'm not going to talk about it on the show, but before this episode started, I told Emily about a complaint we got Well, someone also, I got a compliment for my singing of the song from Cats while you were doing your scavenger hunt. So there's that. All right. So Ian Martin, who, by the way, he won the Richmond International Screenplay Contest.
Wow.
His starts out with an inventive way of looking something. Some of these are real inventions, and but so I'm just reading them in order, and his was the first one. I've never really invented anything per se, but I've been known to solve problems in the workplace from time to time. At DHL, we had these lopsided pallets that would tip over easily and ruin the load on a forklift. I suggested securing an empty cage to the load so it would be impossible for it to ever tip over.
There you
There you
go.
go.
Very practical.
Very practical advice. And I want to say to Ian, that kind of is an invention, right? Because so your Mark Twain thing wound up on a bra. It was just an adaptation of what
Yeah, he
he
didn't
really
invent
did.
Velcro and snaps. He just like put
Right.
it together for a certain use. It's an
Correct.
innovation.
Exactly. An innovation is a good way to put that. Alison Ripley Cubitt, a previous author that we've mentioned on the show, her book's right over here. This is more of a repurposing. She actually used the word repurpose, but it's still an invention.
We love that.
Yes, we love repurposing. An IKEA over-the-door shoe hanging rack to become storage for my spices. I have yet to put the letters of the alphabet on it. I'm the only one who understands where the C spices are, and there are a lot of C spices. I often get complaints from my OH asking, where's the blankety blank spices?
There are a lot of C spices.
Cumin,
Coriander,
cinnamon.
curry.
Dang, you're going to win. Wah, you win.
No, there's another one. There. Oh,
I know, but the first person that messes
I know,
it
but
up.
I know there's another cayenne.
Oh man, well you still win because I didn't get it.
There's another one too, but I'm blanking on it.
We're gonna think of 100 of them. Right. Allison Rayner has real inventions with patent pending.
Oh,
I've helped invent a new tiling system for bathroom walls. Interesting. And this is the one I like: an alarm system for overflowing bathtub.
whoa.
That will save the people who live beneath you if you live in an apartment. That will save you from having to clean up a mess. I think that one's genius.
Wow. Now I want to invent something.
You have a baby inside you, so she when she pops out, she can invent something. And
I thought you were going to say I invented a baby.
You invented childbirth. So Sarah Rose Pickering says, when I was a child, I was always inventing things. When I was 10, I made a whole perfume and skincare line out of grass, flowers, water, and existing moisturizers. I also
classic.
remember inventing a blackboard rubber, which is an eraser, that had a removable cleaner so that you didn't have to throw away the whole thing every time it got clogged up with chalk. That's genius too. I would use that one. I would buy that one, and I would buy the bathtub one. And last but not least, Rachel Caldecott said, I haven't invented anything per se, but my husband and I have a neat way of hemorrhaging money. So they invented hemorrhaging money. I don't think they invented that. I think that existed.
I just remember two things that I kind of sort of invented.
Yes.
Because I crocheted a lot growing up, and I crocheted a iPod holder.
Oh.
Because some of my pants didn't have pockets. It was just like a little strap with where you could hold
You invented the strap.
It was like a mini iPod purse.
That's great.
And then I also invented or innovated or crafted or whatever these little necklaces where I would get river stones, and then I would design intricate little lace around the river stones and turn it into a necklace. So I'm not completely useless, I guess.
Make that a short so that guy can make his icky face to that one. I'm gonna have to think of an
a heckler out there who doesn't like my ideas.
Your knitting related ideas.
and I care so much about this person's thoughts.
I'm gonna have to think of an invention before
Yeah.
before the next episode. Huh. What
Think
was I
about
saying?
it.
What was I saying before I made that joke? If I had a good point to make with
Oh
that.
no.
I don't know. It's gone forever.
Well, think about it while we listen to this conversation with Mai Lee.
Yes. That you're gonna read her introduction right now.
Yep. I sure am. Because I had that prepared. All right, and we have a full biography, and like she's done a lot, so I'm not going to be able to read all of her projects, but I'll read the opening. So Mai Lee was born in Thailand and is currently based in Saigon. She is honored as a top one in the gifted program with full scholarship from the best public movie school in South Vietnam, the University of Movie and Stage, HCMC. With a diverse background in medicine, airborne, foreign affairs, and architecture, she started her film career as a screenwriter. As she became an IP developer and script consultant, she has been then determined to lean towards new strategies and market exploitation for independent projects that often face production challenges in Vietnam due to legal constraints as a producer. Now, Mai Luu Ly focuses on bridging the gap for films that challenge conventions and celebrate diversity. Some are even subvert and mix genres from A-list and regional festival awarded filmmakers such as Canis. Is it pronounced Canis?
Cans.
Cannes, thank you. Such as Cannes, Berlin, Locarno, Golden Horse, Busan.
Got me on that one.
Okay. These narratives center on human rights, culture clash, mixed people, multiracial experiences, and origin identity crises, themes that resonate globally and have become an obvious need in an all international Asian project in film markets. More importantly, her motto and filmmaking motives lies in the actual improvement for the society. She created complementary campaigns aligned with the films to bring actual impact to life, such as the high-tech exhibition with the film Lost in Indochina, or climate campaigns with the film One in a Million, which was chosen for Harvard International Relation Conference 2024, where you can find the information in our show notes along with her other projects. She has done a lot. Did you remember your thought? No?
I was listening to all that she's done.
So much. So much. All right, here is our conversation with Mai Lee.
And we're back. I'm still John Myers from Right Better Together. Hey, look, everybody, it's still Emily Brooks.
Hello, John Myers. And hey, look, everybody, it's Mai Lee.
Oh, my goodness. Where are you from?
Welcome.
Where'd she come from?
Hi there, hi everyone.
Where are you?
So please call me Lee, and this girl
Okay.
is from Vietnam, Southeast Asia.
You are 8,825 miles from
Sounds so far away.
from where Emily and I are an hour apart, but you're 8,000. You win. You're the farthest. Our previous one was 6,200 miles. You're on the other side of the planet.
Yeah, I was just trying to
literally as well.
visualize the map. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you win. You win the distance game.
yeah.
But it's
already
still
got the
today.
record, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's still today. You're not in tomorrow yet, but you will be soon when we're recording this. Then
But it's like a 13-hour difference?
Yeah.
Wait,
And
not
you-
13. What
Yeah,
I just
no,
make
it
It's
is.
13.
It's
Yeah?
13.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's 13. And so really it's midnight here and it's in noon there. No, not really. She stayed up late for us.
Yeah, which we really appreciate.
We got up early, she stayed up late. So Emily has so many questions about your projects. And so what's the
Don't worry,
first thing you want?
I'm
What's
sorry.
the first thing you want to know, Emily?
Well, the first thing is I noticed that this isn't about the projects necessarily, but we can get
Okay.
there, is that it looks like you've done a lot. It says you have a background in medicine, airborne, foreign affairs, architecture, and then you started as a screenwriter.
Yeah.
So how was that did that journey work? How did you get to screenwriting after all of those things?
Yeah, so it was actually pretty strange that it never occurred to me, like literally until 7 years ago, that I would really be in the industry, even when I was kind of casually do some writing here and there. And like, since my mom's a literature teacher in Vietnamese, and she's also a writer, so writing has always been like a casual hobby. But it's never been a thing I would really think I'm gonna be in the industry, even if it's just for fictional writing. So, but I guess that while I was in medicine school, we kind of have some competitions to look for the young new screenwriters from CJ Korea here. So I got really curious because, to be honest, uh, I I cannot find the movies I want to see out there in our cinemas, like literally. So I was like any other young aspiring writers, I'm like, I want to write what I want to watch. It's just like that. It all started like that.
Lee, you said so casually, like, 7 years ago, like when I was 9 years old. No, but like, you've accomplished so much.
Yeah, but it's actually the decision to really get into the industry, it kind of officially aided when I decided to go into film school. And it's actually a big decision because I was still in medical school at that time, dentistry specifically. Um, but actually, I didn't really mean to get into film school because at that moment
Oops.
I was just like, I want to do something more creative. So how about doing some agency thing, like advertisement stuff, like with the writing and stuff? But I don't want to like to be like ordered around and manipulative, but not for good reasons. So I'm like, okay, creative, but not to be ordered around. So I get in films, but that's totally wrong, right? That's really a really so innocent thing. But I'm still glad that um, I'm still really glad that although my purpose to get into film school, it was like uh, doing the like I'm just losing word here. Um, like the it's those multi choices multiple choices, like doing some multiple
Oh,
choices.
like the
You
test and
like
the
yeah, and we
yes,
like cross out all our options, and we have this
yeah.
option left. It was just like that. But actually, when I got into films, I realized that wow, I think that this is something that I'm supposed to do like from the start. It's always been there, but I'm really happy. But yeah, it's a winding road because my school actually only teach offers, like director offers stuff. And we were really not educated with production, not really much. We
Mm.
kind of do it the amateur way, like just do it and then you kind of know it, like stuff. So we don't really know about production. And then when I graduated, I thought that, like, I realized that okay, so the director, the screenwriter are not people who can put up a project, can start a project, and who can at least validate the project, like to make a difference between paperwork and like the actual project, to bring on board or at least bring to the beaches, right? So that's why it occurred to me that I could be a producer, and then later to that, because well, you guys can have a grasp that um, not just with the censorship and stuff, but here there are some topics that are just really sensitive just to talk about publicly, like
Hmm.
environment issues, or like freedom of press, freedom of speech. Just the mere like mention of the words is already really sensitive. like let alone to make a film about it. And it happens that most of my films are always about those topics. So uh, when I realized I have to go the like international way to like finance and or at least find some consultants for my firms. So representation problems came up, and then delivering is another thing is about like delivering finished films, but like basically I'll just say that they don't have the language to really deliver, or they like no person, no people to deliver their films. So like I'm that guy. Basically, it's like it's
Wow.
shifting bit by bit through many positions, but I'm happy now that I know that I'm on the right path to lead to where I want to be.
I'm curious when you mentioned the censorship, like is it that they actually will censor films that have those topics or they just won't invest in them? Because it sounds like you are having those films made
Um,
regardless.
To add to that, you're saying even culturally, you just don't talk about the environment. Is it? Did I
that's a good
understand that
question.
correctly?
Not really culturally, but like publicly,
Gotcha.
and regardless of like culturally or not. So like so actually, here we don't have public foundation or any kind of fund to like invest in firms or stuff. Like they do have those intentions, but they didn't really do anything about it. Actually, so about censorship is yeah mostly about distribution rights, national distribution rights. So mostly for indie films, that's how we gone to the indie films. But so the difference is I do the indie way, but many my films are not that artistic or like fall into the art house land. There is still we can kind of call it kind of commercial or something like that. But many other films, maybe you guys are hearing about Don't Cry Butterflies or like Coolie Never Cries, like some of other indie Vietnamese films that has rocked Belinda Le or other Venice. So they're indie films, but uh, really art house, like really artistic. So that's how they did. Like they funded with international ways from international funds, and most of the films are not called Vietnamese films. They're Singaporean films mostly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's how because we call we we attach the nationality of the film mostly based on the nationality of the producer, of the main producer. Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
whether the director is like Vietnamese, but basically we still call it Singaporean, and it will it will it's not clear, but it will cause less potential harm for the actual Vietnamese director versus our government, or if anything happens. So,
Okay.
Are some of those issues? I imagine the answer is going to be yes, but talk a little bit about it. In publishing, same issues as you have in filmmaking.
um, like same, but really different.
Okay.
Um, because like I think that in films actually, uh, in writings, in like fictional writing literature, people can somehow people can be more freely because words give us imagination, right? But still, on the other hand, most writers who choose to purchase those roads about freedom, uh, they also walk along the way of doing politics. They're pretty clear. So, like, I would just say that maybe most of them got imprisoned already, and maybe got out already, and maybe gone to America already. Some of them are still like laying low.
Wow.
And it's been like that since before 75 until now. So now we have to be more low key about that. So speaking of literature, now I don't think we really have new, as whether aspiring or like established writers anymore, because now we really see any new novels or like stories that get published that people really love. It's just like really small demographics and really small audience group, because like, and most of them, if ever existed, would just be horror, mythological horror, or like it always has to do something with black magic.
Hmm.
It always has something to do with black magic, and
Interesting.
crime, mythological, black magic, um, a little bit blend of all of that, but not really large group. We don't really write rom coms like love things anymore, because I think that, so I'm not really sure if it was the problem from the one who graded, or whether there are people reading it or not, or it's about the publishing. I don't think the publishing is the problem, because we still have very like pioneering publishers here that always try to look for new IP, new content stuff, but like there's still no. So um, I think that right now one of the hottest kind of niches in books is just like we call it the healing tops. So those healing tops could be just like some, just like you reading some journaling of the author, or some poems. Like each page is a poem,
Hmm.
but it's maybe poem morning about having to go to work at like 5 a.m., or like some little like mundane things that people could get resonated like right away. Like I don't think we're in a place where we use literature as escapism anymore. We have to get resonated like right away, because that's just about the attention span. But I think that somehow people don't. So this is a little bit sad to talk about it, but I don't think people have the energy to have to imagine and like dive deep to it anymore. They just have to get resonated really quick, and then you're like, okay, there's something else out there. It's just like me. There's somebody else like me, and then that's okay. That's enough. I'm not the only one who's suffering in this kind of thing. It's basically like that, and then they go to sleep. Let's 5 minutes a day.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
So, if there were a romance novel or a rom com from another country, another culture, it's not there. It just the people don't flock to it, or no.
Well, I think still, if it's from another country, there's still maybe some like niche audience, like but still not large, but there are still, because like I think that there are some French and Korean and Japanese authors that they have kind of made their names and like established their stars here, found their niches here, and people resonated. And also, we have two distinguished publishers that they do really care about literature. So there are still some, book lovers like in novels and stuff still, really give attention to those two publishers alone, and look up to those alone.
Hmm.
So they are like curators, like really they're just two of them in the country, so they're like curators of what we get to read.
My mind is being blown. So you were joking at the beginning that you're on the other side of the planet, but it almost sounds like emotionally it's like a different planet. Like this is so different.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
are you? How do you feel, Emily? Like, isn't it like, or is it just me?
Well, it's strange because I feel like they're like I could talk to anybody off the street and they would have like a different taste in books and in literature and what they're reading. And they'd be like, this person reads cozy mystery and this person reads romance and this person reads horror. And so to hear that it's more narrow and narrow there, that there's a smaller amount of books being read or genres being read is really interesting.
Yeah, but actually, on the other side, I think so. It's not fair to say this, but it's actually still makes sense, and I don't know why. But I still think that somehow people still consume a lot of content,
Okay,
but
yeah.
of course not from books. And
Yeah.
yeah, we all know what that means, right? Yeah, and actually, I still feel lucky that the amount of people that they don't read with books, but they read with like e-books and like from PDFs or whatever like online books they can get from their friends, and that's good enough. But so but another thing is because people it's not that we cannot trace because we cannot really statistically or stuff, but um, it's just really hard to grasp and like to understand in a whole. So that's actually on the market term because randomly I still do like market researches for some companies outside, mostly from East Asia. They want to get to Southeast Asia. So because of that, it's actually pretty hard to really talk about the target audience in some kind of genre when it comes to IP, but not films. It's really
Hmm.
hard to trace, but also hard to imagine. It's not only hard to trace, but hard to imagine what people are reading right now.
Yeah.
Just that.
Is choice? This is getting way broader than what we normally talk about. But is choice? Are there smaller choices? If you go in the grocery store, are there 100 different flavors of soup, or are there two flavors? Is choice? Are you used to less choices in life?
Uh, yeah, could be somehow could be put that way. Could be put that way. And actually, okay, so actually, this is one of the things that sometimes it really irritates me and it makes me frustrated and grumpy. But so like in the mindset or like how people deal with things here, or I usually say that why our films are so weird and old in a weird way. With the way people talk to each other on films, it doesn't make sense at all. It's because I know that people here they don't know about manual options or possibilities. It's about the possibilities, right? We don't say it's opportunities. It's about possibilities. So because they don't know possibilities, so to them it's just like black and white, like yes or no, either something like that. So yeah, it's pretty true to many problems, especially when it comes to like cultural stuff.
So that fits with what you said earlier that how people. So if you have less choices of uh, flavors of cereal, boxes of cereal, then your imagination would be limited. And the possibilities would be limited because you only see two choices or three choices. That makes sense with what you were saying earlier.
Interesting.
We've broken the code between these two planets.
I'm curious, and I think this kind of transitions well because you were just mentioning how the films you saw didn't resonate. Um, and earlier you said that's what made you want to write stories. So, what was it that you felt like was missing from those films that now you are trying to
Yeah.
implement?
Um, okay, so talking about that, there. a lot of things to talk about. I sorry, but I can go on for like 10 hours. But but so one of my biggest questions, um, even when I was like even when I didn't even write in screenwriting and stuff, was that I didn't I didn't see the Vietnamese way of talking in our conversations. Like you guys know that. So just let's just say we're reading the lines in English, but we can still kind of figure out that this is so American, this is so British, or even this is so Chinese, or even so Korean. The way they say the way for like stops, like just basically things like that.
Yeah.
And then this is not just about like how the actors deliver it, right? So, but we never see that coming. We never see that aha in Vietnamese movies. And we really
Wow.
wonder why.
Huh.
And that question still linger around when I get into the industry and talk to my professional friends. And they're still like, oh yeah, now you mentioned it. I see it now. We don't see it. We don't see the Vietnamese element in our conversations and like in every other aspect. So let's just say they're filming it in Saigon. They're filming it in Hanoi, but like it doesn't mean it could be the element, the cultural element. So actually, that's one of the things I really wonder for a really long time, and I really bother my professors to ask them about what's the Vietnamese, what's what the core essence. Um, but like far more than that, one of the things that I think for I just figured out for the last 2 years that one of the things that I think is really interesting and it's really I think it's the reason why Vietnamese movies are so different, or maybe sometimes Asian movies are so different from American movies. It's just we didn't get to the meta era yet, if that makes sense. So we're not subconscious or like conscious. We're not conscious about the feelings and like validating stuff. So let's just say, so let's talk something like concrete, okay? Like the word happy. So when I hang out with my friends, like if my friends are Westerners, and mostly actually if they're Europeans, they would more likely to ask me, so how is it? Are you happy? Like after we hang out and stuff and do some stuff, like are you happy? Or like casually, like with American friends, who would say that, are you having fun? But still, the term "are you happy" is a really normal and casual term, right? But in Vietnamese, we wouldn't use the word happy that casually. Happy in Vietnamese is a word that we would just use in writing. It's
Hmm.
we call it a writing word. It's not really like in a conversation casually and like daily life. So so last year we had a film, a period film, like from the it's based in the 18th century or something. It's really long ago, and the screenwriters and the director are Vietnamese American, and they studied in UCLA or something like that. And they went back to make films in Vietnam. So in the trailers, the girl really say that I I don't feel that I'm happy here. I cannot stay here anymore. I have to go. And it's a really absurd situation because like women in the past they cannot just divorce a husband and like run away from the house, right? And now she's like, I'm so not happy and I have to go. It's really absurd because because like I say, like it wouldn't come to mind to people in the first place that they are not happy. Like happy is a really conscious state of mental health. If
Wow.
yeah, like it must come to that. So like to me, like if I have to write um if I have to write, I have to deliver to the audience that she has come to sense that she's not happy, and she's finding a way to talk about it openly, or at least with someone not that close, not her best friend, not her shadows or anything. If she wants to find a way to talk about openly, I have to find maybe more indirect ways, or have to have more plot points or more character curves to get to those points. Yeah. So actually, right now with Gen Zs and stuff and social medias, we kind of we do kind of talk a lot about like not really a lot, but we're aware of uh, psychological terms or psychoanalysis. But to take it into films is still like another thing, because it could it could sound really corny, and and like if you make it right, people would just like put your film in the land that we call, that we would describe as poetic. Poetic. If we talk about happiness, if we talk about grounding, if we talk about how we feel in the sense of moment, uh but like mostly you just be really corny. Yeah. So yeah, it's a cultural thing, I guess. But or maybe it doesn't make sense if it's a woman in the 17th century saying that. But if it's in the Vietnamese film, but it's a Gen Z saying that, like shouting to his mom, maybe it makes sense, right? If she's shouting, "No, you're not making me happy. I'm being miserable here," saying that in Vietnamese could still make sense because it represents the now in the reality. So yeah, it's a bit more trickier to think about it.
I think that's really interesting. And I do see that even in our period films where they put modern sensibilities onto characters from another century, and it always feels off to me. And I get why they do it to make it more relatable, but it just
Yeah,
doesn't. It's like I'm with you. It's like that character wouldn't have thought
yeah,
that or done that just because that's the way we think now, but they wouldn't have thought that then.
yeah.
So
That's
that's
right.
really interesting that you see that um, even in modern interpretations that they can just get it wrong.
Yeah. So basically, that's the basic point of why our conversations are so weird. To really hear
Mm.
it in native language. It would be not really weird if you read it in English because it makes sense with the world of people speaking English, but it doesn't make sense in the world of people speaking Vietnamese to really hear those things.
Is
That's so interesting.
I wonder if that's for better or for worse. There are European countries or Middle Eastern countries where our American media influences what happens, and some would say poisons what happens, but others would say frees up what happens. But that's not happening in as much in Vietnam. That's because of what you just described, right? If there's these things that you don't that that you don't interact with your whole life, then you wouldn't. It would just be so foreign that there's no connection. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like so usually it would. And actually, I know that there are lots of audience out there that they would still get if we try to like make a really complicated things where it makes sense. For example, like Black Swan. Let's just say we have a Black Swan like with the main version. There is still audience who can really get it and stuff, uh, but the point is there will be a very specific demographics that they kind of get it. But they're not sure if they're getting it, but to them, all of these like dating and stuff are so pretentious. Are so pretentious. And you know, like it's nothing worse than to make the audience feel like we're challenging them and we're like showing off to them.
Mm.
So it doesn't work that way. Yeah, but I still think that the audience is setting the bar higher now, thanks to the COVID, thanks to Netflix and all the streamers. They have set the bar higher now, but still, they're just still. So so let's just say if we release a film in Vietnam, or it could be just be anywhere, we have to like really determine the specific target audience that we want to go to. It's not like I think it makes sense, it's resonating, so it should be at least around 50% of people who would think of this film, but like who would like check out this film. It doesn't work that way anymore. Yeah, we really go into this really specific niche because the generation gap in the knowledge, in the sense of conscious being conscious is like really drifted away.
We look at media two different ways. We look at it as it's a mirror to the culture, and we look at it as it pushes the culture in a certain direction.
Yeah,
And
but
it's tell us how that's different over there, because it sounds 180 degrees different.
um, maybe it's not that different.
Oh,
It's still kind of like that, but if media here is we're talking about social posts on like Facebook or Instagram or Threads. I think that's the only place that really reflect how people are doing, what they think, and maybe there could be some provocative ideas that will push people through something, or could be some you know uh, controversial viral videos on TikTok or some specific person that will challenge and push us forward. There are still one or two phenomena like that sometimes, but not with creative works. Not with creative works.
yeah. That
Yeah.
so yeah. Setting social media aside, just publishing and filmmaking and television. That that's
Mm,
also interesting. It's social media
yeah.
here can kind of mesh with the traditional media in ways, but it doesn't sound like that's happening there. Or am I?
Yeah, that's really true, really correct. Um, like it's just funny that like uh, book like literature or film or just not just film, but like cinema or like feature film versus series film versus film on TV cable are really free for different things, really different, and they really reflect different kind of content for different purposes for different people to watch it. It's really divided. It's really divided. Yeah, and we just talk about films. I can still say that we're not really that contemporary because we don't have films that are contemporary. It's just like so that actually that's one of the things that the audience really hate us filmmakers is that they always say that we only make things that like happened 20 years ago. It doesn't happen.
Oh.
It doesn't work like that anymore. The way people talk to each other and the way how the society works. But still, there are still people making films like that. So it's really naive. It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
So I'm interested in on your bio it says that you like to write narratives that center on things like human rights, culture, class, mixed people, multiracial, like all of these different things. So it sounds like nobody else is really doing like pushing like issues like that in the stories. And so is that a pretty like unique thing that you're doing that you don't see really happening anywhere else?
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Are there other Lees? Are you all to yourself, or are there more like you?
Is it mostly in the
Uh,
indie film, probably?
yeah, kind of, but not really, but still kind of, because okay, so talking about human rights, like any kind of rights, things like that. Um, so actually, for indie ways, but not just really indie ways, but because like right here when we talk about indie ways in Asia or like Europe, it's not the indie ways like in America mostly, because um, mostly we would apply for public funds, and public funds from France, CNC of France, or like the Europe. Uh, Basically, they always ask like the reason they have to like put money into this film is like who are they gonna help? Who are they gonna help? Like so that's why it's mostly about the rights. Basically, it's mostly about the rights because like it's public funds from governments. That's what they so we actually talk about this directly now. We actually use the words that's how people play the soft power cards, right? So okay, so but on one side, um, talking about things like Asian identity or like mixed people and stuff. So I know to talk about mixed people, it doesn't really make sense in America or Europe because that's like since the very beginning, and that's how geographically, history, culturally, uh, America and Europe are based on, and it makes sense. But like in Asia, number one, because it's because of immigration, right? So mixed people is a thing here. Another thing is that not just about immigration, but now we have the reverse immigration that people like mostly the second generation Asian American that they get burned out after COVID, like many stuff. They're millennials losing stuff, so many stuff, having health crisis, and they're going back to their home country. Or like in Beef, if you guys ever watched Beef, and like the therapist really said to the female protagonist that like have you ever been to China? Like okay, so maybe if you're going back to China, your problem will be fixed. So that's how people think about like Asian American stuff. But to us, like the going back to the origin, it always means more than just physically, right? With just physically, there are so many things to talk about alone. So I think it's a new thing to dive into, and like on the market terms, always on the market terms, we have more audience. Somehow, not really, somehow, but still, we still have more chances for international distribution, and we could like in terms to finance stuff, we could bring more people on board to co-produce, and so we can apply more into more funds because for public funds, one of the basic uh, eligibility term that we have to at least have one co-producer from that country to get the fund from that country, or at least we have one in Asia. This is what we do. We get one in Southeast Asia, we get one in East Asia, we get one in America, we get one in Europe, and we have the multicultural slate of people, and then we using the credits, the prestige to like call for the funds. Yeah, and we're like, because I'm here, so I'm sure this content is authentic. It's just another thing for authenticity as well. But still, mixed people is not really a thing that people really like to like jump into. So many reasons, or not many people jump into yet because according to the report and all the previous awarded and films are getting made, even even the trend, the shift in I would say in America, especially after the strikes from last year, I still think that to talk more about like mixed cultural stories, not mixed people, mixed cultural stories, could really be a new way to make things work, make things happen. Yeah.
Very cool.
I have so many. I'm taking notes. You filled up a whole card. What's your call to action for our viewers? How's that? I just no segue. Just jump
Yeah, there
right
we
in
go.
there. Let's see. Uh, so okay. So in my mind, it's just something really general. Um, it's just something really general that let's just pick a very stereotypical situation, like um, like okay, so yeah, one of the most irritating premise is that um, this mafia guy, this retiring mafia guy, getting like a letter to go back to do the last mission or something like that, right? So let's just try to take that very stereotypical situation and put them into a very weird location setting. Yeah, let's just try to do some little something with that. It could be fun because
That's really fun.
actually that's one of my way to in the first days to create the multicultural stories. Yeah, we try to think it that way. And actually, my friends, my partners that I'm working with, are people living in those situations as well. Like I have a very close partner that he's Spanish, but he's living in Malaysia. And if you guys know about Malaysia, they have like I think like 50 languages and like so many cultural bases.
What?
And like
Wow.
they're so mixed. They're basically they don't have any identity. We just say that they're so mixed.
Wow.
So like it's really funny that we're having a project that just got to pitch next month in Singapore. So the Singaporeans, so at first we thought it was a Singaporean jury that chooses us, but then we found out that the studio that chooses us was actually from Thailand, but they are based in Hollywood, Los Angeles. So they are Asian American, trying to bring like Asian story got told by a Spanish guy living in Asian. So you get what I mean? And it's mythological, crossing with cosmic horror, like Lovecraft, crossing with female body horror. So
Wow.
basically, we all try to do the mixed genre things, mixed multicultural stuff, and we hope
Interesting.
it's a new way to create new content.
Very cool.
So Emily, how do they get their response to Lee's call to action?
Yeah, so you all can we're going to share this episode on the day of its release on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. So you can always respond in the comments there. Or you can go, if you're getting this later, you can go to writebettertogether.com/podcast and find this episode in the show notes and you all can respond there. Or you can respond in the comments on YouTube.
Okay,
Awesome.
awesome.
I have
So we would
a
love to hear how you all work out those stereotypical situations.
yeah. That's a great one. So I have a really dumb last question. So there's YouTube there, obviously, right? So will people in Vietnam be able to see this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No,
It,
we still binge on
I almost
YouTube a
felt like you
lot.
were. I almost felt like you were saying things that you were going to get in trouble for, like like we're not really allowed to talk about this, and I'm like, oh,
But
maybe
I
that.
do feel that as actually.
See, that's what I was sensing. Like, and then I'm like, well, what if they don't allow this to mention this topic on the YouTube? So
Okay, but okay, so I'm just saying this little note that I'm trying to relieve myself with this thought, but actually this is not a good thought as well. Is that don't worry, it's the language barrier. It's gonna censorship them.
Yeah. Yes.
okay, that's what I wanted to know.
And like the duration as well. It's gonna be like around 45 minutes to an hour, right? People would be like, I've got no time, and then they're not that like patient to get to that part, hopefully.
We could make a difference, though. This episode can make a difference.
Yeah, but actually, I think I'm gonna really share it really virally on my social accounts. I'm gonna be like, "Hey, people, look at it! I'm saying that."
I want Vietnamese people to respond to the call to action. In
I'm
addition,
not
all
sure.
over. I mean, we already have all people all over Europe that respond, so we can penetrate
Let's
that area.
let's
Thank
see.
you, thank you, Lee.
Thank you so much. That was fascinating.
Thank you so much for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And we're back. Wow, how did that make you feel? How do you feel about that, Emily?
Happy. No.
Perfect. Good thing you're here where you can say that
I'm
or even
expressive
think
of
that.
my emotions, I guess.
That was perfect. What earlier you had said that she had accomplished so much in so little time.
Yeah. It's
Um,
very impressive.
I felt like, you know how we only use 3% of our brain? I felt like she was probably only using 1% of her brain so that we could understand with our 3%. I think there is so much in there that we were
Yeah.
only seeing the tip of the iceberg,
Yeah.
and
For sure.
I can't even imagine being in that brain.
Yeah. Very, very intelligent. And there's
So,
more in our Patreon where John Myers asks her a question and she has just this elaborate, intelligent answer.
yeah, I mean, I'll tell you the topic, but not the answer. It was about the data that she uses,
Yeah.
and like sometimes on her news feed, it looks like I don't know, like not C-SPAN. What's the financial one? Whatever the financial channel. There's just all these charts and numbers, and like
Yeah.
I don't even begin to understand them.
Yeah.
She makes sense of them every day. What's your number one takeaway from that?
I think for me personally, because there's so many takeaways, but I think for me personally, what I've been thinking about is authenticity in your portrayal of life, like real life and where you are. I think we can be really affected by film to write like film characters are and not like real people are. It actually reminded me of a TED talk I used to show to my students called The Danger of a Single Story. And I'll share that because I don't remember who did it. But I know that she grew up in Africa. She's a writer. And she grew up with Western storytelling. So she had books like, I don't know, like books that I would have read as a kid. And so when she first started writing, she started writing books like that, like little British kids having tea and eating apples. And she was like, I've never even eaten these foods or worn these clothes or talked this way. I was just telling the stories that I knew I had read. And so, but what she learned was to look around at her own culture and go, how do people around me actually act and live? So even as an American, Americans are different depending on where you are, depending on your state or your city or the age group. what they believe, what they like. So how are the actual people in your life acting? Now, I'm a fantasy writer, so I can get away with a lot, but that doesn't mean I want my fantasy characters to all act like me either. If I want to, portray a different kind of culture, I can do that.
Yeah, there's so much there. Now I can't remember what I said in the episode and what I said outside the episode. So just the fact that our content, our media, reflects the culture or pushes the culture forward. I think I said that on the show.
Yeah, you
on,
did.
on the interview we just watched 5 seconds ago. That, but imagine, like we take for granted. Imagine taking or reflecting a culture where you can't even talk about certain topics.
Yeah.
Like, and then how do you address that in your stories when you don't address it in the public square or in the
Yeah.
at the tea party? And there were, and you saw, because you just watched the thing, I wasn't joking, and she kind of uncomfortably laughed, but like there were things that like I thought someone was going to come knock on the door, like you can't say this stuff, and
Yeah.
we don't have that feeling.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, I can't imagine being. We have self governors. We self censor our own speech, right? But I can't imagine there's always someone listening in the public square, and you can't talk about diversity or whatever,
Yeah.
and or the ecology or the environment. Wild.
I know that some countries won't show American films if they portray certain things. So if they're a big audience for a US film and then they put something like that in there, then that's like a danger for the filmmakers because they're like, "Oh, we just lost that whole audience." So there's some of that, but it's it's different.
And there's things where our culture has evolved over the last 50 years that
Yeah.
we wouldn't have said, but like things like the environment, like
Yeah.
we don't. We learned about environment when we were in elementary school, right?
Yeah, and it's things that you can watch a documentary on Netflix that is just the wildest conspiracy theories. Like they don't it's just is there an audience for it? Then we'll make it and we'll sell it. It doesn't really matter. Like there's stuff on all sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. So we learned she has a giant brain.
Yeah.
And she has to be careful how she uses it. There you go. That's the
Yeah.
title of the episode.
But she's so creative, and it's just amazing that she's out there doing that work. So
Yeah, she's very purposeful
mhm.
with all that data and stuff, but just with here's the playing field I'm on, to use a sports metaphor because we're so good at that. Here's the playing field that I'm on. How can I do what I still need to do, and what I need to get across?
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, John Myers.
He snuck up on me this time. Yes,
I'm going to show you a picture.
Oh, it's not your sonogram, is it?
No.
I love babies. I don't really love sonograms. Oh, I know this picture. I have no idea what this contraption is. It's literally a contraption. Are you going to ask me a question?
So you you sent in your own John Myers suggestion, which I love. And listeners, please send John Myers suggestions.
To Emily, not to me, because I can't read them.
Right, exactly. So you can email writebettertogether@gmail.com, but specifically say like, "Hey, John Myers suggestion for Emily," or something like that. So that
John Myers, don't look at this.
Yeah. Top secret. So this is from an article from the Smithsonian Magazine, and it says historians say they've solved the mystery of a curious 100-year-old contraption discovered in storage. Staffers at the Dorchester County Historical Society in Maryland were baffled by the unusual machine, so they asked the public for help in determining its purpose. So, public, John Myers.
So they know now.
It says that they are pretty sure they know.
Oh, because you said they asked us public. I just sent the picture. I don't know what this is. And they were asking for the public. So really, they're asking me, is what you're telling me.
Yeah. So what do you
Well,
think it is?
What? No, not what I think it is. What I know it is, and then that's what it is because I've now determined and deemed it to be what I'm about to say.
No. So they asked for people's opinions, but then they said historians are pretty sure.
I know, but what I'm saying is
Think that-
my opinion overrides the historians and everybody else's opinion. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So you're going to give me what they think. I want to tell you what it
Oh,
really
I'm sorry.
is.
I forgot that they did confirm it. They confirmed what it is.
Well, if it doesn't match what I'm about to say, they're wrong and I'm right. I'm confident. I know what this is. But first, is that a foot pedal at the bottom?
I think so.
Okay. And then are those tree trunks that it's built on, or that's just beat up wood?
It looks like metal to me.
The legs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It looks like a tree trunk to me. All right. So I believe that this is the world's first air hockey game. No, I'm not really. I'm joking. I think so. I think this is what I think. No, this is what I know with confidence. I will state this confidently. It is here. Let me put my confident face on. It is, ladies and gentlemen, audiences. This is undoubtedly, without a doubt, in case you didn't know what undoubtedly mean, without a doubt, this is I don't know why it has a foot pedal on it though.
I like how you're prolonging it so that you can keep thinking about your answer.
No, I like dragging things out, like with the game and stuff. No, I have an answer. I had an answer the second you put this up because I didn't know you were going to use this.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just dragging it out for dramatic tension. Without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, this is I don't know why it has a foot pedal though.
Just answer. What is it?
This is an in-home irrigation system to water your houseplants.
Wow, that was not an answer from the public, but
what?
You win for originality.
No, because you'd have to have some way to pump the water and then it squirts out the top of the things, and that's why it has the foot pedal, and then you can water your plants with this contraption.
So let me describe to the audience what we're looking at. This is the description on Smithsonian. The device sits on a ceramic countertop and features two elongated metal cylinders that sit parallel to one another.
Yes.
The bottom cylinder is smooth like a rolling pin.
Yes.
While the top cylinder is dotted with protruding hexagonal nubs.
That's where the water squirts out.
Relatively modern motor. But all the pieces are around 100 years old. It's been sitting in storage since the 1990s.
There's so much there. Like it wasn't in storage until the 1990s, but they've had it for 80 years prior to that. And then so it was just sitting out in the open and they didn't know what it was. And then someone's like, I'm tired of not having to explain what this is or isn't. Let's put it in storage. So
people's theories include a taffy machine, which...
Wrong.
If you've seen a taffy machine, it doesn't look like that, but I can see where they're coming from.
I don't.
To wring excess moisture out of freshly washed clothes.
Well, it looks like one of those, but that would have been an obvious answer.
Yeah. Or maybe to soften leather or tenderize meat.
Nah.
I think the meat tenderizer is actually a pretty good answer.
I come from a family of butchers, meat cutters. That is not what one would look like in any way, shape, or form. This is clearly a thing to water your houseplants.
So this is what the historian said. We potentially think, although later they confirm it, it was a Maryland beaten biscuit maker.
Oh.
It was created by a man who was trying to help his aunt with the business, and the belief is that this would have helped beat the air out of the dough as the biscuits were being created.
All right, here's where they're wrong. Here's why my thing is correct. There is so a biscuit, how big is a biscuit, Emily?
Well, here's the question, because it says that these biscuits have a firm crackery texture. So you know how like
Mm-hmm.
in Europe,
Yes.
biscuit means cracker.
Yes.
I think it's talking about crackers right now.
So I agree with your reinterpretation. I will still say that this is wrong. Museum, you're wrong. Because why anything like it doesn't need to be that big to perform the thing that they just said that it performs. You wouldn't if you were going to invent a version of this to smooth and bump up your crackers, you would make it the size of like a checkerboard. You wouldn't make it where it take up half the kitchen.
But they're making a lot. Like it's meant to make a big. So you lay.
Oh.
I'm imagining you lay out a big strip of dough, and you are pounding those crackers like as wide as that pipe is.
Okay, so then if that's the case,
Cylinder.
then it has a commercial application, and it would have a nameplate like Nabisco on it or something.
Well, so the job of it says it was prolonged and violent work to pound the biscuits, and so it was not a preferable job. You didn't want to have to do that. And so he invented this to make it easier for his aunt, I think. Yep. That's it.
My poor aunt had to spend a hot day and 12 hours of pounding out crackers. So I'm going to make my life's work inventing a contraption as big as an automobile to make a cracker.
I don't think it's that big.
I do.
It looks like it's like maybe 2 feet wide.
Okay, a little automobile, a smart car.
All right. Well, that wasn't supposed to be the game today, but I kind of feel like that turned into a game.
Not for me, it didn't. I knew what it was from the very second. Now, and last final word on this: if it really is a cracker spreader outer, who's going to water the houseplants?
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
Well, if you want to debate John Myers on this point, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. You can. He's saying no because he's using reverse psychology.
I'm closing submissions on the debate.
Oh, okay. But you can still subscribe to hear more from us. We have a huge backlog already. If you want to go back and listen to previous episodes, write us a review. That helps other people find us. We appreciate it.
Do whatever you want to connect with us. Just don't debate me on the houseplant watering machine because you'll be
That
wrong.
has no pipe system.
What? You have to pour the water in the thing on the top. The top.
They were cylinders. Like
you pour the water into the top. The top cylinder is empty. You pour the water into that. Why didn't you just pour it over your plant, John Myers? That would be too obvious.
Are you ready to play a game?
Boy, am I.
The actual game.
I sure am. Give the people what they want.
Your prize is this bird journal.
Finally, birds come up. We've been neglecting the birds lately.
We have, but also they've been neglecting us because they're all leaving. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. And I need you to close your eyes for a second because I don't want you to see this until I'm ready. Okay, this game is called Answer Smash.
This is the face Bob Signs makes when he finds out we're playing a game. Am I allowed to look?
Yes. Okay, so I got this idea from the show Richard Osman's House of Games, which, spoiler alert, I watched intentionally to get game ideas, and so there will be more coming up. But this is one they play every time. And basically, it's going to give you a picture at the top, and you have to know what that picture is of. And then it will give you a question, a text question. You have to combine whatever you think the image is with the answer to the question to mash them together. So the answer to the image, the actual word, will blend in with the word that is the answer to the question. Does that make any sense?
Welcome everybody to Right Better Question game with the world's most complicated. We're continuing the conceit of the world's most complicated instructions
This
when
is
Emily
why,
does a game.
because I knew I was going to have a hard time explaining it, and I should have written down Richard Osman's explanation of it because he says it so simply. I have a sample here. You mash the two things together, and there is a correct answer.
Oh, so there's a correct answer for. So I am. Is that the question down there? Texas-based animated series about a propane salesman.
Yes, so that's the question, and the image is
the Lion King.
Okay, so
and
your answer.
I don't know that monkey's name, but
So
I know Simba and.
It's a baboon.
Okay.
Your answer has to combine those two things, and the words will mash together. That's why it's answer smash.
And I know the answer to the bottom show. I know what show that is.
So do you think you can combine those two answers that you just said by joining the words that are in the answers?
Yes, I can go Lion King of the Hill.
Correct. So are you ready? There's going to be 5 of these.
Okay. Does that one I just did count?
No, that's the sample.
What? I get one right and it doesn't count.
There's going to be 5 of these of varying difficulty, but I tried to I think they make sense.
You tried to make them easy.
I did not steal any from the actual game. I made these up myself.
Oh. No wonder it takes you so long to
you have to get 3 you have to get 3 out of 5 to get the bird journal.
Oh. All right.
Are you ready?
Yes. Very large snake invasive.
Okay, so you have to explain to the listeners who aren't watching what they are looking at.
So the top looks like it's Sylvester Stallone and or Rocky. Am I right about that?
That has to be your guess. That's why I'm not describing the picture.
Oh, okay. And I gotta get closer to the screen.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was going to be small.
Yeah, so it's Rocky. So that's Rocky or Sylvester Stallone. And then the bottom says very large snake invasive to the Florida Everglades. So that would be Rocky Sylvester Stallone. Like if it was some kind of wild dog, I would say Sylvester Stallone Wolf, right? Lone Wolf. But a snake, Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever Tick. That's not a snake. I don't know my snakes, dude. Can I buy a vowel?
Well, I can give you hints, I guess, if you can remember Rocky's name.
Balboa. Boa constrictor. Rocky Balboa constrictor.
Correct.
Well, okay, so now I have a question about the game. That could have been a boxer. That could have been Sylvester Stallone, or it could have been Rocky, or it could have been Mr. Balboa. That's part of the game, I guess, is figuring out which part.
Maybe I should have. So in the original game, they have categories for the pictures, so maybe I should have done that. Because if I had put actor, you would have said Sylvester Stallone, but if I had put character...
I get it.
Yeah, if I had put character, you would have said Rocky. So...
God, good thing I knew his last name. All right, so I got one.
Yay! Ding, ding, ding.
Plus the sample, I got one. CD. I'm looking at a CD or a DVD. I'm looking at a shiny disc. And then I'm looking at Shakespeare's tragic play about the Montagues and the Capulets, which is Romeo and Juliet. Romeo and Juliet. CD Romeo and Juliet.
I think you're going to get all of these.
And now I've also learned another rule that was not in that 5-minute description of the rules, that that is not a CD-ROM, it's a CD-ROM, so the pronunciation doesn't matter.
No.
It's the spelling that matters.
Yeah. Also, usually the game is harder in that the image is actually hard to tell what it is, because they'll be like actors, and then it's going to be like someone you barely recognize. So they make it really challenging.
Crowd scene with a bunch of actors in it.
But I don't know your full cultural inventory, so I didn't want to make it too hard.
Oh, so you dumbed it down for me? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm no
But I think
Mai
some
Lee.
of these are still challenging.
I'm a
So
Mai Lee. My brain is no Mai Lee brain.
here's the next one.
Oh, and I say it's a monkey. You're like, no, that's a baboon. No, that's a chimpanzee. I didn't know was a speciesist with monkeys. Okay, so it's some kind of primate and a citrusy American dessert pie topped with meringue. So lemon. It's Lululemon. No. I mean, anyone that says meringue is going to say lemon meringue.
It's a dessert pie. It's topped with meringue.
I know, lemon meringue.
Okay.
Citrusy. It's lemon meringue. So lemon. I said Lululemon, and that wasn't right. Okay. Kinds of monkeys. I don't know my monkeys, just like I don't know my dinosaurs that step on Bob's signs. Is it like the Rocky Balboa where or the CD Rom? The pronunciation is irrelevant of the monkey.
It's the same pronunciation.
Oh, dude, monkey lemon, chimpanzee lemon, helper monkey lemon.
Should I help you out?
I said helper monkey. Sure.
Monkey is correct.
It's lemon's not correct.
Monkey is correct.
Monkey bread. There's monkey bread.
Yeah, I know.
Monkey. I know you don't put meringue on top. Monkey lime, monkey lemon, monkey orange, monkey. That's all the citrus fruits. I don't know any other citrus fruits.
Do you want to pass this one?
No, I want to guess for the next 2.5 hours. Give me a hint about monkey lemon.
You said it a second ago.
Monkey lime. Monkey orange. What? Monkey bread.
You keep saying it. But I need you to say the whole thing.
Monkey lime pie. Monkey lemon pie. There's no such thing. Oh, key lime pie. Dude. I like key lime pie.
Meringue doesn't have to be lemon.
No one calls the white stuff on top of a key lime pie meringue. That's
Whipped cream?
I don't know what they call it, but it's not.
Well, on the official definition of a key lime pie, they do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay. So the bottom one is It's a Wonderful Life, which is really a New Year's Eve story.
You have to read the question for the listeners.
Right. The top one is a picture of some Hobbit-like people. And the bottom, it says Christmas film by Frank Capra starring Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed. And I was saying It's a Wonderful Life is actually a New Year's Eve movie, not a Christmas movie, is what I was saying.
Yes, I decided not to be too technical because people know it as a Christmas movie and I wasn't going to go there.
So this is Hobbit's a Wonderful Life. Oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
That's all of them?
I think there's one more.
Oh, okay. When you said done, I thought you meant I was done.
No, but you got that one really fast.
Yeah, all I had to do is read it.
Notice that these last two ones are Christmassy.
Oh. In some tradition, so the top one is okra, I believe. Fortunately for you, I learned what okra was this year in 2024.
You never had okra before?
If I did, they snuck it in on me. In some traditions, Santa's evil sidekick will punish children. Who punishes children? I changed the sentence. So that's Krampus.
What's your full answer?
Oh, Krampus. Dang, that's evil. You just made me say an evil word 3 times. Now, what if it appears?
Oh, no.
I aced that game.
Yeah, you did.
You know what that proves? Besides I get the bird book, that I was right about the plant watering machine.
Oh, does it?
Yes. I'm the king of all the games today.
Well, good job.
You know why it was a good job?
Because
we couldn't have done it without you.
Couldn't have done it without you.